Please welcome on the stage Mr. Neil Kay, Vice President for Agricultural Solutions in EMEA West. And what is your dream, Neil? What is your dream?
Well, that's Euro 2024 is ongoing at the moment, and England play Denmark tonight. But
to survive until evening.
Yeah, it would be good for England to win the Euros and go one better. But in terms of agriculture, I think innovation is something that in BASF, innovation is at the heart of everything we've done. The company is 150 years old, and we've been bringing innovation to the agricultural industry all the way through that period, from the creation of synthetic nitrogen, the Haber-Bosch process, through to herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, and most recently in Europe, we've launched Revysol, which is a very innovative fungicide. So the future, and for a sustainable future, for me, the solution is embracing innovation. I'm stealing Gustavo's. We have the same wish, but he is my boss, so I'm copying.
But can we start our conversation about yourself? How you came into agriculture?
Yeah, I've been in BASF for 18 years now, and I spent half of my career in the chemicals business, which is in line with my education. I'm a chemist by education. Well, I rephrase, I was a chemist 20 years ago. And the last 9 years I've been working in agriculture. And the interesting story is, I never saw myself working in agriculture. 10 years ago, if you would have discussed that I would be leading a region within Europe in agriculture, I would never have believed you. And I went down to do a marketing job 8-9 years ago, and this industry has a way of pulling you in. I've never worked in an industry that is so passionate about the work they do, the impact they have on society, and as an industry, we really want to take responsibility and accountability for farming. And I think that was some of the inspiration that came through with BASF's new vision for the biggest job on earth, for the love of farming.
And what are the biggest, what do you think, challenges that farmers are facing today, nowadays?
How long have we got?
All the time, until evening and the football match.
I think we have many challenges. I would say if we start on a global level, climate change is no longer something that you read about and don't believe. It's something you see. Yeah, it's affecting our industry more than many other industries. And I think the second point is around resources. How do we continue to feed the global population, the rising global population, with more and more demands from society to transition to a greener future? And we should be transitioning to a greener future. So I think that our industry problems are global problems, and they're ones that cannot be solved in isolation.
And what BASF is doing for those hopes to provide?
As much as we can, for the love of farming. We are focusing we're an R&D business, and we focus our business model on bringing new innovative products to the market. And when we talk about innovation, it has to be something that, in our view, is sustainable. And the definition of sustainability is something I talk about a lot, because I think some people think about sustainability in terms of the environment and society. Now, there are 3 pillars to sustainability. The environment is super important, and in our industry, biodiversity and how we progress with the soils and the resources we have is hugely important. Societal requirements, we're getting more and more pressure, especially in Europe, and we can discuss Europe later. But the final pillar, and I think this is something that our industry and farmers should not ignore, it's the economic element of sustainability. You cannot be in a production system where you're losing money consistently, because that is not sustainable for anybody. So those are the three areas that we believe are important. In terms of what BASF are doing, we have a sustainable solution focus, and we're now in the process of where we screen our innovation products in a very early stage of development so that we ensure that they can meet a sustainability criteria. So that's one side of it. I think when it comes to climate change, Gustavo spoke about two key areas that in BASF we believe will be crucial for the long-term future of farming, especially in Europe. One of those is around hybrid wheat, and it's building a more resilient seed and food system that can cope with the climate change we face in terms of droughts, floods, all of the challenges around that. And the second one is, what role can digital technology play within our industry to, I would say, support biodiversity, to support profitability on farm, and to support the appropriate use of all of our inputs so that we maximize the yields that we're getting from our crops. So many things. BASF is investing in agriculture alone on a global level around 10% of our turnover. So what 1 billion a year we're putting into investment into R&D, which I think it shows you a little bit of the history and the belief in the company in innovation, and that to make progress and for agriculture to be sustainable, innovation is really the answer.
And talking more about digital products, how they can help farmers?
I'm a huge fan of digital. And I think that our industry is one that it really can adopt innovation quickly. And you've seen that over the different generations, and you've seen that through the different farming practices. For me, if you want to make digital technology simple, it's about maximizing the impact of the solutions we have available. So that could be around fertilizer use and using the appropriate amount of fertilizer on the field where you're going to maximize your yield rather than using the same everywhere. Variable rate mapping can ensure that the efficiency of the inputs are done the right way. The timing of our fungicides has a huge impact on the performance. If we get the timing right, and you can use AI to support us with that timing, with the algorithms, again, this will be something that will be super supportive. One of the technologies that will come that we're seeing adopted in other parts of the world is around the use of herbicides. And we have an innovation in BASF where we're working with various machine partners, Bosch being the main example, where one smart spray, where it's the use of spot spraying herbicides. So with that, in row crops, you can detect weeds in row crops, and instead of spraying the whole field, you spot spray the specific weed. Therefore, you can potentially optimize the use of your herbicide and use a significantly smaller amount, which is better for everybody. It's better in a cost terms. It's better for the environment. It helps us move towards our societal targets in terms of net zero. So these technologies are coming. I think the use of the technology will be important, and I think how industry and policymakers support that type of innovation will be very important moving forward. And I think that more can be done there.
And what are those steps? What do you think to improve the adoption of those digital tools?
I think digital tools is one thing. I think that if we move to talk about the EU and how we operate in Europe and on a broader scale, I think that in the EU we're focusing on how we on our journey towards net zero, and many of the major companies are putting in place science-based targets, which is a really positive step, and it really connects to the share price. So these companies are really committed to it. But I do think the EU needs to start looking at the carbon consumption rather than the carbon production. The challenge we face is that if we look at the carbon produced in Europe, we then move the production, whether it's production of chemicals or crops or whatever it may be, we move it outside of Europe. Well, climate change and the journey to net zero is not a European problem. If we solve that in Europe, we will just push the carbon production outside of Europe, but our consumption will remain the same. So we're not solving the problem. We're just basically saying, well, our country is okay, but it doesn't help the world. So how the EU looks at that challenge, I think, needs to evolve, in my opinion. And I think that our policy and our process in our industry, especially for the chemicals and the solutions that are combined and connected to that, we have a risk-based policy. And I talk a lot around how we need to have an innovation-driven policy where we look at accelerating and supporting and incentivizing the right solutions to be adopted quickly. And I think at the moment that Europe, we look at the problems more than we look at the solutions. And I think that if we have a slight adoption and change of mindset with that, I think we'll be quicker in our journey towards net zero.
And what do you think? Is Europe lagging behind other global regions, or even the UK after Brexit?
I think Brexit, we shouldn't talk about Brexit. It wasn't a great day for an Englishman that's lived many years in the EU. It was a sad day for me. The UK is, in the agricultural industry, is looking at being more innovation driven and being more scientifically driven. And what we've seen is some positive signs where when the UK left the EU, they basically adopted the EU laws that were in policy into the UK law. So they still have the same policies and they still have the same regulatory system. But what they've managed to do, because they're isolated alone, is they can accelerate the launches of certain innovations, because they have less bureaucracy. But they're following the same regulatory process. So are they in front? Are they behind? There's an election on the 4th of July, and that may change everything. But certainly there is some hope that the UK can be an example of following a more innovative science-based concept than the EU. That is a hope more than a reality. Do we lag behind other industries or other continents? I think we do, in my opinion. I think the Americas can be more progressive with science, and the EU, we have a very safe and regulatory process, and we have huge societal demands, which I think is very positive. But we shouldn't burden ourselves more with the problems. And I honestly believe that the solutions to many of our challenges are based within innovation, and a quicker adoption of that will help us all.
But what's your main key points talking about the regulation environment in the EU?
I think at the moment the regulation environment is incredibly challenging. So you have a dynamic where growers, farmers are expected to be a huge element of the solution of driving towards net zero, and they have less and less solutions to solve the problem, and they're expected to pay for it as well. So if the EU could evolve to, in my opinion, start to be more supportive, incentivizing the adoption of innovation, that would be a far more progressive way. The farm policy is evolving and they're looking at that. And if they moved into a place where they could support that adoption more, I think that would be very progressive for us.
And if you were a politician,
If
what you
I was-
can change talking about Europe, EU in that more competitive way?
I think the key thing for me is how we are looking at EU policy and how we're not looking at the problem on a global scale. We're looking at it on a European scale. I think that the tackling climate change, tackling the carbon footprint, is not a regional topic. It's a global topic. And if Europe wants to fix that topic in Europe, and that just pushes the carbon footprint outside of Europe, we're not solving anything. So I think we need to be more holistic. We need to collaborate more on a global level. The G7 summit and how we look at those topics are really important. The Paris Agreement is in place, but actually we're not meeting it. Yeah, and you have this conflict now of the up and coming countries need time to level up. So more and more collaboration, commitment towards the targets would be the right way. And also, I think the EU needs to have a more progressive look about what science can do to help us solve the problem.
And why do you love agriculture?
Why do I love agriculture? Well, it's better than sitting in an office.
Or playing football?
Yeah. For me, the most joy I've got out of my career is when we're launching innovation. So coming to a country, working with the local country team, talking to the customers, our partners, politicians, farmers, growers, and the excitement about bringing a solution to the market that will really make a difference to solve some real problems. A good example of that is, I mentioned in the UK, they brought some new chemistry to the market. So we've just launched a grassweed herbicide in 2022, which will be 2 or 3 years before Europe, the EU. And that's a grassweed herbicide that's solving a blackgrass problem. Now, blackgrass is a weed that's basically incredibly difficult to remove. It's a real yield drag. And bringing a solution to that to the market, when you're talking to growers, and they share with you that the impact that has on their time management, on their full system and the profitability of the farm, you don't get that in any other industry I've worked in. It's a wonderful feeling. So I think really it's the people.
Mr. K, ladies and gentlemen. And do you know why that chair is empty?
Roberto.
Roberto. Yes, please. Now we'd like to invite to the stage Mr. Roberto Salmito, the Managing Director of BASF Baltics. Please welcome. Be careful. If you have some questions, please raise your hand and we will give you microphone from our assistant and you can say some words or make some questions, so you are more than welcome. What is your opinion? Is it your first time in Lithuania, Roberto?
No, actually my 4th month in Lithuania.
Oh, 4 months now. So how do you feel?
Very, very good. And I was actually expecting the question around my dream.
Yeah, okay. What is your dream? Let's start from there.
It's a very complicated one, which would start with learning the Lithuanian language, which seems to be not an easy task, I must admit.
What do you know?
Sveiki.
Sveiki, very good.
Sveiki.
Ačiū.
Ačiū, yeah. And do you know how we say love?
That's part of the
Yeah, it's meile.
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 Try, Mr. Name.
Maya.
Meile. Nice. Very nice. When looking at BASF's activities in Lithuania, what you can say? What is your
Absolutely.
perspectives?
Yeah, in the direction of sustainability, yeah, I think it goes much more than just presenting a nice slogan, than communicating on media, but much more real, concrete activities, right? So for that reason, 2020, we started a very, very interesting project in Lithuania, which is an initiative that goes together University, grower, and BASF. Yeah, it's called Farm Network. And this project already dates 4 years. And we really focus on combining knowledge on farming practices, sustainable farming practices, yeah, innovative technology, but at the same time, together with the university, preserving biodiversity. Yeah? So the wild species of bees, birds, yeah, spiders, and that's what we have been together with the university monitoring. Yeah? How is it possible to grow, yeah, to have a field, and in very close vicinity to have a wild stripes of flowers, yeah, or replications of nature, where you actually preserve, yeah, biodiversity, and that's what we have been observing, monitoring, and actually sharing the results with society. Therefore, actually, very much encourage everyone to visit our sustainability stand, yeah, where you can actually speak with the colleague from the Vilnius University that has been supporting us in this wonderful project, actually explaining that exactly the purpose of this meeting, which is how to produce more with less and more biodiversity. And I think it is possible to combine both. It's possible to combine economics, biodiversity, yeah. Things go hand in hand.
And what are your ambitions to make it more sustainable, talking about agriculture in EU?
Yeah, definitely work into farming practices. I think it's absolutely important. As my colleagues already mentioned, providing growers a toolbox that is that fits to their needs, that is innovative, and that solves problems. Yeah, we see from year to year, there's no season. There's no season where you have the same weather conditions. Yeah, we just need to look 1 year ago, completely different, and that's what makes this job very, very exciting, very challenging, and this is maybe my second dream after learning the Lithuanian language. I would say it is the dream to offer growers a good toolbox that can be used when it's needed. Yeah? And I think this is the direction that we should go.
And I can see in your eyes that passion. Really good.
Absolutely.
Do we have questions from the audience? I still have a few more here. Maybe it's for both of you. Everyone now is talking about artificial intelligence. How will this technology change or could change agriculture?
You want to go first or me?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of many tools that serve certain purposes. I think that Neil already started engaging on the topic, one smart spray. It's only one example, yeah, that instead of just flat spraying a certain surface to solve a problem, is to utilize technology, which via cameras you can, in milliseconds, decide what do I spray and how much do I spray, yeah. And I think this opens a different ball game, yeah? And it's exploring innovation and not the individual initiatives, but it's the complex. Yeah? It's not only the one fungicide, as Gustavo was saying, not the only one herbicide, but it's the combination of the practices. Yeah, that I think this is going to enable farming to be at a different level. Yeah, productive does not mean that you are that you neglect sustainability. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Neil, what do you think?
It's a huge question. That just this week, I was in a meeting with Gustavo where we had a presentation on AI, and I thought I was quite good with technology, but I'm not. I realized I wasn't very quickly, but there's a saying that I heard that data is the new oil. Yeah, and if you consider how we're now gathering more and more data, AI is the enabler that will allow us to use that data to become more and more efficient, which is why I think digital solutions will play a pivotal role in how agriculture moves forward. I can see a future with the approval of certain crop protection products being directly linked to a digital technology. And maybe not tomorrow, yeah, but I can see a future where it will be a crucial element of how we work within our industry, and the longer that process goes on and the more data we have to use that, AI's intelligence will basically improve efficiency tremendously. So I think it will that will be the fourth revolution of agriculture, in my opinion.
And what the BASF could offer, let's say, for next year? Some examples maybe you can say?
With AI. I think we spoke a little bit about some of the tools that we have available, and at the moment with our digital program we've got a digital solution called Zavio, which we spoke about, and we also have a digital solution in terms of the specialty areas for grape production, for example, in the south. At the moment, the AI is around using the right amount of product at absolutely the right time, and it's using weather data to predict the right time. It's using data to predict the growth stage of the crop, so that you connect the right time with the right window to maximize the yield. So the data we have available at the moment is supporting optimizing the use of products and maximizing the yield, and that will continue. I think that's the start. So,
Roberto, maybe you can add something more.
Yeah, I think it's the combination of that, and also with good chemistry. Yeah, and this is what we're also showcasing here in the plots. Yeah, very innovative molecules, particularly. What we have launched now 4 years ago, Revizol-based products, yeah, which did take 10 years to develop, yeah, and we can really see the fruits of that. We really see how it really helps farming become less challenging. Yeah. So I think it's the combination of tools, yeah, of mindset, yeah, to see. The process of preparing the ground as an investment, yeah, and not as a cost, because you want to produce more. And I think this is the direction that it goes.
I think even when you speak about how we're now developing new chemistry, new technology, new traits, the predictive use of AI is going to play a huge role, hopefully, in accelerating how we bring those products to the market, how we eliminate less sustainable products in an earlier phase of development, which makes what is a very expensive development process hopefully quicker, more cost effective, and more efficient.
Thank you a lot, Roberto. Neil, maybe you can say in Lithuanian this phrase, important phrase.
I'll let Neil start, and I do the second part.
Yes. Neil.
It's your dream.
It's your dream. Neil, you're going to start?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Zumaila? You can go next.
This long one.
UK.
Yes, right.
You go, Neil.
Svarbalias?
Svarbiausias.
Darbas
žemėje.
Žemėje.
Yeah, well done, Roberto.
Big applause, Roberto, Neil, and thank you, Gustavo, for you. Yes, please, one question, please. Do you have mic? Yes.
Gerą dieną visiems. Mindaugas, įmonė Agrodronas iš tikrųjų. Tai klausimas galbūt susijęs, jeigu galima lietuviškai, nieko prieš.
Simona mes galim iškviesti ir jūs galėsite.
Okay, so no matter, it can be in English.
Yes.
So the question will be, from my side, do you preparing pesticides for aerial spraying? One question. And the second question will be about our market, when it will be in Lithuania. Thanks a lot for the answer.
You mean a pesticide that would be used via drones?
Correctly.
Yeah. My boss spent 6 years in Asia before he came to Europe, and I think that drone spraying in Europe is a challenge. There are laws and regulations around the use of drones and the geographic location you can use them. Can we invite you up, Gustavo?
Yeah, please.
Sure.
Thanks for the question. Being head of Asia for 6 years, this was a question highly asked. And by the way, wherever you go to Asia, India, Vietnam, Indonesia, you see
Australia,
you see already in the fields being sprayed by drones. And in a fragmented market with a small farm size, also in the hill areas, this has been a tremendous innovation and solution. So first stage of in the industry, we are adjusting dosage of our products within the existing formulation, but the industry is already moving to think on what is the right adjuvants and what is the right concentration to use in drones. So you see one day in Asia in the shelves, this is for backpack spray and this is for drone spray. For Europe, we don't believe that we are close by in having the regulations approval, but the knowledge and the ability of us to adjust and bringing drone-specific formulation is very high. In every global research station of BASF, you would go, there is full of people well-trained in drones that are already trying. But if you ask me, do we start already regulatory work? Not yet, because we believe it's not close. And why is also that? And I tell a very, very short anecdote. India was very close to have a more friendly regulatory environment from drones until there is a drone from Pakistan flying to India. There was let's say, incident, and that was the reason to say, no, drone is a too dangerous aspect for country safety. So I think that's a topic also particular for the situation in Europe that I don't believe that regulators are going to support free flying of drones in a short period of time. But the industry is able to react whenever this is possible.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot. Gustavo, Roberto, Neil, they're going to be here in BASF stand, so please join. Do not hesitate to come to ask more questions. So thanks again. Yes, please.
If I can, because there was a question around the market as well. Where is the market going to be in Lithuania? And what we believe is that I think the difference from one season to the other is getting even broader. Broader in terms of disease spectrum. So what we actually believe is that, I mean, 1 year is more septoria, the year is less septoria. The products with a very wide disease spectrum are super necessary and to be part of a toolbox of farmers. And it will require much more preparation. So what was challenging in the past, it's becoming even more challenging, because of the volatility of weather, precipitation, and disease. So that's why when we look at the growers, the respect that we have is a very high one, because the amount of challenges and the scope of the challenges are always different ones.
Yes, just to make it real, and we create chemistry, right, Neil?
Right. My question is, when will we start producing wine in Lithuania?
We're already doing something.
Yeah.
Better than the Latvians, I would say. Huh?
So thank you, thanks once again. It's a lunch break. Thanks again for being with us here.
Thank you.